Well, if you've been watching the last few episodes of Stable Talk, you'll have noticed that we've been down in the Cape for a little while. Today we do the last of our Cape interviews, and the man we're going to be interviewing here at Milnerton on what is an extremely chilly day is Eric Sands. Eric, take us back to the start of your racing career before you got a license.
When I started with Bertie Sage out in Honeydew. My father was working for him at the time and I joined the yard. But I tried to stay out of racing, so I left and went to work repping for United Tobacco. But I still used to ride work in the mornings, and eventually Ricky Maingard said to me, he said, "Your heart's not in that, you must come back to racing." And I went to work for Ricky, and that's where it started.
And you got your license eventually in, what, the early 80s?
1983, I got my license, and I wanted my first runner to be a winner, so I was at the Vaal and I had this little horse. I thought he was really a great horse, a good horse, but to make sure I took him to Bloemfontein so that I could have my first runner. And he won by a short dead. He never found another place. So I was fortunate that I took him to Bloemfontein. In 84 I came down here for the winter months with a small string. Had a very successful winter. Went back to Johannesburg, came back the following winter and never went back. I stayed in Cape Town.
Who were your patrons in those days? Where were you getting horses from?
When I first started here, I only had 6 horses, so I never really had patrons. Yeah. But then the farm started to support me. First of all, Donnie LaRue. He was very good to me. He was the first of the breeders to send me horses from Bonnievale. And one of the first horses he sent me was Jungle Warrior.
Yeah.
And then the other
would you say Jungle Warrior was the horse that really put you on the map to start?
I think Jungle Warrior and Wexford Boy.
Yeah.
Wexford Boy was a homebred of Kevin White's. He's still around, Kevin. And he was great for me. Both of them were at the same time too, so it was a great start.
Of the horses that you've had over the years, I would imagine Flow By You has to stand out as having been the shining star.
So he's a special horse. I always say I don't fall in love with my horses, and that I like them all equally. But there are horses that creep inside, and Flow By You is obviously very fond memories.
Finding more from Shoe Shack and Golden Loop, Suave on the outside, and Flow By You as flying up to record the hat-trick. Flow By You mowed them down to beat July Day.
That horse, I mean, had he been racing today, he would have been the type of horse like Shay Shay that could have gone to Dubai. He was in that class, wasn't he?
He was, he won 19 races and 13 of them were graded races.
Flow By You is now in full cry over the final 200, coming at London News and True Tempo. London News, Flow By You up on the outside. These the two, but Flow By You shows his class and goes on to win it. London News in second, then True Tempo.
These days, your support comes from, I understand, a wide variety. I mean, you haven't got all your eggs in one basket when it comes to owners.
I don't have any big owners, or when I say big owners that have a lot of horses in their yard. I get a lot of support from the breeders in the Western Cape. I don't have a big string. We normally have just over 30 horses and that, and I'd like it to be a little bit bigger, obviously, but I wouldn't like to ever get to a major size of 80 or 100 horses. I just feel that I'd lose it then. I like to be hands-on.
You've got all of your grooms who've been allocated specific jobs. Some of them have become expert in certain areas. Just explain what your philosophy is on that.
Listen, I'm probably the hardest taskmaster. I'm not an easy person to work for. My assistants that have gone to Duncan Howells, Brett Crawford, and others that have gone to work all over the world, and that they'll tell you, if they last you, they will be a good horseman. And I'm the same with my grooms. I'm hard, but I'm fair. The more I can train my grooms and spend time with my grooms, the better it is for me, because then they're going to know exactly what I want.
You've now allowed your grooms to come into a partnership system where they're actually benefiting by one of the horses in the stable.
What I did is I took the horses that I own in the yard and the shares that I own in the horse, and I gave the grooms a choice of horse. I said if it was a horse that I owned outright, they would own half, and if I owned a share, they would own half of my share then. And we've registered colours for them. He runs tomorrow for the first time. The horse is called the Highest Point. And I don't want it to be a token horse, and I don't want to just give it. I want him to learn along the way by it. I want him to please God, the horse does great. Please God, they earn a lot of money from the horse. I'd like them to then learn how to handle their money. And if he comes to the end of his road, so they can have a choice of another horse.
Well, let's go and see what the highest point looks like and make him the starting point for our discussions.
So this is the horse they've chosen, the highest point. And as I said, they don't partake in this system unless they've worked here for 3 months and longer. So there's only one chap in the yard that doesn't own a share in him. And the guys who have been here for longer than 2 years, they get a little bit more. So it's I think it's a good thing, and it's to entice the guys to stay longer and to make something of their own job and to be proud of their own thing.
What's he had, about 8 or 10 runs?
He had a wind up, so he's had 2 runs since his wind up, and he ran 4th and then he won.
The highest point with the advantage. Let's Party. It's going to be close as they get to the line. The highest point wins it ahead. Let's Party up the outside.
What's he, a 4-year-old?
He's a 5-year-old.
5-year-old now. With 1 win to his career.
With 1 win to his career, but he's a lightly raced horse. He never raced as a young horse.
But a nice athletic frame. I mean, looks like a horse who, if the wind up works...
He wants a lot further. He's running in a 1400 tomorrow, but we've just had so much rain over the last month that I'm bringing him back over the 1400.
And there's plenty of excitement amongst the group.
I asked them if the horse can win, and they said maybe. But I'm sure they're hoping.
Right, well, let's go and have a look at another couple that you've singled out for us. What's next in line?
Fidelity.
Okay, and this one, that's the extremely well-bred one out of Promise from My Heart.
Yes, lovely filly, big filly. She's had one start. She showed a lot of pace. We ran her in the heavy gain, and probably the wrong thing for her.
Yeah.
So I think she'll be better with the gain on top.
Dennis Dryan has got the half-brother, which we actually featured in one of our earlier programs.
He looks a very special horse.
I think he's bringing him down here.
She was unsound, this filly, as a young horse, and they operated on her. And so far, so good. She's standing up. Let me turn her to her side so you can have a proper look at her. Come on, girl. Come on, back one. There we go. There we are. Eh? So she's a lovely big filly. I think she's shown us quite a bit in her work at home. I don't think she's the type of filly that will handle Durbanville. She's just too big. She was planned for a run in September, but we had so much rain in August, we just couldn't get her fit enough. She's done very well. She's grown. I think the time has been good for her. She's matured and that.
You'll be trying your best to get that bit of black type during the season.
For a breeder, or if a horse wins is a 2-time winner or a 4-time winner, it doesn't really make a difference. The big difference is to run in those races where you're meeting quality, and if you can match that quality, you should earn the black type. And so that's the biggest plus. So when you're racing a horse for a breeder, you always aim for the black type. If you can't get black type, then you want to try and get the wins. But black type is worth a lot more than the wins. She's such a valuable filly as she stands now. Her mother was a great horse. Her brother looks like a special horse, and please God, we can follow in their footsteps.
When you started your training career, were you still mixing your own feed?
We mixed for years the old way. Lucerne, oats, millies, soya. But it was very hard to get the raw materials to do your own mix, to store oats for a year. Because of a lot of money, and they weren't always the same from year to year. So I went to a commercial brand. At first was fairly successful, and I was happy with it. And then afterwards I changed from one feed company to the next, and I just wasn't happy with they weren't constant. And then about a year ago, I spoke to Mark de Kock, and we had a long chat about his feeds with the EPOL and that, and I decided to try it. I decided to try the Speed Max and the Prep 14, and it's been great. It's been horses recover well from their races. From a scientific point of view, you pick it up in the horses, you pick it up in their bloods. There's a lot more constant. We still, as I say, there are a few hiccups in that, and there are a few things I'd like to change, but I'm very happy with the food.
Well, as per usual, time now to look at EPOL's helpful feeding hint for the week.
Iron is very important and forms the heart of the hemoglobin molecule, which carries oxygen in the red cells. However, the situation with likely deficiencies of iron is far different in horses than it is in people. The iron content in most of our soils and water supplies are high in most parts of South Africa. This ensures that the supply of iron in hays, grazing, water, as well as the raw materials used in your horse's concentrate more than adequately supply the iron that your horse needs. Horses are extremely efficient in storing and recycling iron. Even in the case of blood loss, the iron stores in the horse's spleen, liver and bone marrow could fairly quickly compensate for the loss without the need for iron supplementation above the levels in the normal diet.
So who are we going to see here?
We're going to see just Al.
Okay. By the way, what are these strings? I mean, you've got them hanging all the boxes.
A few years ago they found that some of the birds were dying on the flay at the bottom, and there was some type of disease. We had pigeons dying in the yard, and that. These strings stop the bigger pigeons going into the yard and roosting in the yard, and then their droppings don't fall on the horses and that.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop the smaller birds or the doves getting in.
Yes.
But if you look at the horses around you, if you find a horse that doesn't, they're not worried by the strings, and they get used to it and that.
Yeah.
It just stops the bigger pigeons roosting in the boxes and that, and keeps the yard a little bit cleaner.
Anyway, let's talk about Just Al now.
Just Al is newly turned 3-year-old. He's had 2 starts. He won his 2nd start. He's a captain out of a National Assembly mare, so he should have the speed. If you look at him, he doesn't look like a true sprinter. He's got a lot of scope.
Yeah.
He's got, I think he's got a lot of ability. He has got attitude, and he is getting coltish.
Yes.
He wants to overdo it a little bit. If you're doing a 3/4 pace, you've got to keep him from going any faster. So whatever he does purposefully, and that could be, as often a horse's undoing. When he walks, he walks. He doesn't trot to sleep. He's alive, and as long as his temperament holds, he's going to be a lovely horse to work with. And if he earns his position in the merchants or the diadem at being a 3-year-old, well then fine. If he's still too immature to take on the old horses, well, we can wait. Next year's another year.
Okay, what have we got here?
This is Theme Song. She's just turned 4. She's only had 5 starts. She's won 3 of them. We've never got her to go over the ground yet, because she ran and then she won and she got sick, and then we gave her a break from that. She came back, she ran 3rd and she won again, and then she fell after her work and pulled the muscles in her quarters and that. So she's been off the whole winter. We sent her home to the farm, and a new group of chaps have bought in her now. I think she's quite a special filly this year.
She's by?
She's by Blackman Alush out of a Lungful mare called Taumina, bred at Main Chance.
Yes.
We just want to get her over the ground. I mean, the 2 races she's won, I don't think she is a sprinter. She's won 2:12. I just think it's her brilliance.
It's Theme Song that's finding another gear. Miss Saigon is trying to wear it down, hitting the wire. Theme Song kept going. Theme Song from Miss Saigon.
She's a big filly. There's a lot of her. She weighs over 530 kgs. I think she's special.
So if she lives up to what you think she can actually achieve, she's going to be a valuable broodmare.
Yes, yeah, and those German broodmares have done well. They internationally they're doing well. And here they've done well.
Yeah.
And Blackman Alush, he's now got his Group 1 winner, Kochka, and it's hope for her.
Yeah.
Lovely
Okay,
filly to
so
work
anything
with.
feature race wise that you might feel she's capable of tackling?
She's had her first. She last ran, I think, was in February. She had her first gallop back yesterday, so we'll see. The season is upon us, and I'd like to see her race over a mile. She'll start off in a sprint towards the end of this month, and she has to go to Durbanville to get ready, but that's okay. She's quite a balanced filly, and she can change legs as she needs to, so I don't think Durbanville, as big as she is, I don't think Durbanville will worry her.
Well, she's called Theme Song, and appropriately she's got a singing groom.
The witness always sings. He sings to his horses, and he sings as he goes along. So
That's a calming influence.
that's just it.
Well, I must say I've really enjoyed visiting Eric Sands here at Milnerton on this cold and frosty morning. One of the things that's impressed me is his great attention to detail. Well, you can join us again for another chat to one of our leading South African trainers on the Stable Talk in a fortnight's time. In the meantime, if you've missed any of our programs, do go to our Facebook page where you'll find the links to YouTube.